As mentioned earlier, the Nebraska Soybean Board sponsored herbicide-resistant weed management field days last week to help growers better understand the challenge of controlling resistant species. At the location in Fremont, we talked about managing spray drift with UNL Extension cropping system specialist Greg Kruger. Greg said the first thing farmers should understand when spraying is the product they're using.
Well, if we're going to spray a pesticide, hopefully we control that pest, Jeff. So making sure that we understand how to maximize the control we get from that pesticide we're applying is absolutely critical. The ideal application conditions for Roundup are different than what they are for a lot of other products that we might be applying. So making sure that we're tailoring the applications to the products that we're applying is absolutely critical.
And the labeled rate, what if you say, I want to get a little bit more of a burn, so I'll just go a little bit over, or I'm looking to save a little bit money, I'll look to save a little less?
Yeah, we really want to stick to that labeled rate. Going over that label rate is off-label, and it's an illegal application. Going under the labeled rate leads us to a chance of getting incomplete control, which leads to selection pressure, which leads us to the reason that we're out here at this field day. We end up with resistance, and then we've got something difficult to manage at that point.
Let's talk about spray drift. At what wind speed does it become a real problem?
So, you know, we can get spray drift in a 3-mile-an-hour wind or a 25-mile-an-hour wind. Obviously, the higher the wind speed is, the greater drift we're going to see. But that's a concern for multiple reasons. One, we can cause unintended effects or injury to that neighboring area where that pesticide's drifting into. But we can also lose that product. We've spent a lot of money on those pesticides, and we want to make sure that they're going to the intended target so that we're controlling those pests the way we intend to. Does
it lead at all to more resistance issues if you're not getting as much of the product on the weed as necessary?
Yeah, so if we're not delivering as much product to that pest as what we think we are, we could lead to an incomplete kill. Yeah. We don't see any selection pressure for resistance on a dead weed, but if we control that weed 90%, it sets seed. We killed some of the other neighboring plants. We've selected that plant that's more tolerant to that herbicide, and we could have more problems controlling that weed or pest the following season.
So how can you get help from using your droplet size and different nozzles to sort of minimize that drift?
So the first thing any pesticide applicator should do is pick up a label and read it. I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but in all seriousness, Jeff, there's a lot of work and data collection and trials that are conducted to understand how to maximize the use of those pesticides, and they combine all that information into the pesticide label. So most pesticide labels are going to give us cues on what kind of carrier rates we should be using, what kind of pesticide rates we should be using, what kind of adjuvants to add to that application to maximize the control. So it's really a good idea to spend some time in the label before you make the application so that we get the most out of that product.
We already have some resistant varieties of seed on the market, but there are more that might be coming out when you look at some of the things in research. But resistant varieties, how can they be helpful, and how can they also make a difference in what you do spraying?
So in '96, Roundup Ready soybeans come out, '98, Roundup Ready corn come out. Since then, we've had a rapid and widespread adoption of Roundup Ready crops. We also have Liberty Link crops on the market, and we're really seeing a growth in the use of those products because of the glyphosate-resistant weeds that we're seeing out there, Jeff. And so it's as we start to move into an era where we're using Liberty Link here in the near future, it appears that we're going to have 2,4-D and dicamba-tolerant crops. Those products the applications that we make for those products are going to need to be a little bit different than what they were for Roundup. For Liberty Link systems, it's real important that we have good high carrier rates. The label calls for a minimum of 15 gallon per acre, so making sure that we do that, where a lot of our glyphosate applications are going out in 7.5 or 10 gallon per acre. We need that additional carrier rate to get the coverage, to get the product to work the way we want it to. As we move into 2,4-D and dicamba, off-target movement, spray drift is going to become a big issue, a big concern for our applicators. And making sure that we select the right nozzle types and stuff to maximize the performance of those products and minimize the off-target movement is going to be critical as we move into that era as well.
We'll have more from the herbicide-resistant weed management field days in future episodes of Market Journal.